Hello YouTube, my name is Tyler and this is my second vlog of February. So it is February 9th. So it's been a couple days since I finished my first vlog. I just haven't finished anything. So today is the first day I finished something. I listened to the Anarchist handbook by Michael Malice. 1 star. I did not have a good time reading this. I'm gonna try and keep this short and coherent. When I read The Dawn of Everything, I learned that one of the authors was an anarchist, and some of the ideas put forward in that book had me intrigued to learn a little bit more about anarchism. So in that, I went to Libby and I typed in anarchy, anarchist, anarchism into the Libby search bar just to see what books my libraries had available. And the Anarchist handbook by Michael Malice was really the only one that was available at my libraries, digitally that is. So I tagged it and eventually I was like, oh, I need an audiobook to kind of kill time as I wait for my buddy read to start. And so I went ahead and checked this out. I did not like it. There's a lot of reasons. One, when I see the title Anarchist Handbook, I think that it's gonna be a more material type book. I knew it was gonna be like, not necessarily essays, but I knew it was gonna be multiple different authors because it does say organized by Michael Malice on the cover. But I was not expecting like a political philosophy reader. This is a lot of political thought, which is not what I was expecting. I was expecting this to be like, here are my experiences in different anarchist communities. This is how we live in anarchy type of deal. That's what I was expecting. This is how you can implement anarchism into your life, things of that nature. This is much more philosophical in nature. So that was already like a hurdle for me. I do not really enjoy reading political philosophy. The stuff I like is more grounded in material conditions of people, helping people, how we can implement these things, you know, history, how these political systems have come into effect in reality. And that's like not a knock on political philosophy. Like if that's your bag, like go get it. Love that for you. It's just not for me. So there was that. The other thing is this was much more right leaning than I had expected. I did watch The Anarchist on HBO, which is about ANCAPs. So anarchists who believe in capitalism, which kind of boggles my mind personally. I'm not going to get into it. But so there was definitely some readings from actual like ANCAPs in here. But in general, I can't say if it is the right has co-opted the language of some anarchist. I didn't realize that libertarians kind of fall into the anarchist umbrella. So there was definitely like just a lot of stuff that made me feel icky because I associate it with right-wing shitheads. Like that's just the long and short of it. And here, like I said, it could just be that the right has co-opted some language from anarchist through libertarians, really. It could also be like there's different, they have a different understanding of certain words than I do. So like there was a lot of like waffling on about like property rights and like when you start talking about like liberty as this like ideal, like I think people should have the freedom to make their own choices, but there's a way that Republicans, the right, have talked about like freedom and liberty for so long, especially as I was like coming into young adulthood, becoming politically aware, that just like starts sending off like red flags in my head as like, hey, this person might not like have the best intentions politically. So, you know, that's a me thing. And I'm willing to say that maybe there is some language that I just don't have. There was also some language of like, especially in like the older text, there was definitely a lot of like being under the rule of any other person makes you a slave and them a master, and the language of like slaves and masters for things that I just do not think make people slaves or make people masters. Didn't love that. Did not love that. So like this came off as very right to me, and it might not be, but it just was not what I was expecting as like a book like that would be a good primer for me on what anarchy is necessarily, or a good introduction for someone on the left. There were two readings that I did find interesting. There was one by the Conquest of Bread guy, Peter something with a K, and he is an anarcho-communist. So that really intrigued me because that was about like communal living, like coming together without a government. And that intrigued me. And then there was another one, I cannot remember the name or the author, but it was about prisons and like thinking about what actually is a prison from an anarchist lens, which I thought was interesting. As a person that, you know, wants to abolish the police, thinks prisons are very unethical. Like, that was intriguing to me. But this was just like not a good place for me to hop into. Honestly, I should have just read the Impossible Community first. But I thought maybe this would be a good primer to kind of like dip my toes into what anarchy is. I was hoping it would be a little bit kind of like a stepping stone into understanding it a little more before jumping into the Impossible Community, but I regret it. I also kind of like went in, did a little researching about Michael Malice, and he definitely kind of hangs out in right-leaning circles. You know, he's been on the Glenn Beck podcast. Dave fucking Rubin narrated one of the sections in this book. Yeah, I don't know. I just do not think he is the anarchist author or lens that was gonna ever work for me, to be quite honest. Especially so much of it was very individualized, like about an individual person's freedom and liberty and like their rights as an individual, where I'm coming from it from a more collectivist, left-leaning angle. I'm curious about it from that angle, how we can create communist, socialist, leftist, healthy communities together. So like mutual aid, which was apparently coined by that Peter Kropotkin. I don't know. He's Russian. So like that is what I was looking for in understanding and wanting to get the basis of, and that is not what this book gave me. It is just not what this book gave me. And if I had done any research besides just like picking a book with the word anarchist in the title, I maybe would have known that. But yeah, I suffered through it. I listened to the whole thing, mostly because I was just waiting for my buddy read to start. And 1 star, did not have a good time. I'm sure it has its audience. It's very highly rated on Goodreads, so the people who know Michael Malice and like are in that like libertarian ANCAP area of the political compass seem to enjoy it. That is not me. It really truly is not. So yeah, I talked about this way longer than I wanted to, but I'm probably gonna cut out a bunch of this because it was a rambling mess. So yeah, I will check in when I finish something. What that will be, I have no clue. All right, bye. Hello, it is February 12th. And honestly, I was starting to think I wasn't going to finish another book this week, and this vlog was just going to be 10 minutes of me ranting about the Anarchist handbook, but I did manage to finish a book. It's very cold and gloomy today, so I sat down and finished American Sonnets for My Past and Future Assassin by Terrence Hayes. It is a book of sonnets that all have the same title, which is American Sonnets for My Past and Future Assassin. I'm gonna give this 3.5 stars. It was fine, but like, I don't know, I'm still not a poetry girl. I think once I get through the poets that I kind of put on my list from that poetry book I read at the beginning of the year, I'm gonna take a little bit of a break, but it's fine. There was like a lot of interesting, I don't know if it would be called wordplay, but like the sounds of words, like almost rhyming but not rhyming, but also it like would turn into like a list of words. So while it was fun to say these things, I don't know, I just didn't get a lot out of like something turning into like a list of words that kind of sound the same. But I mean, that's not like all that's in here. I think there was a lot of interesting sounds to my ear. I did read it out loud down in the basement by myself. There was definitely some interesting things sound-wise in this, and there were some poems in here that I liked. So I don't know, it was fine. It was fine. There were some good things in here, or good ones in here, and then there was like just a lot of like, okay, that's a poem for me personally. So anyways, I'm gonna cut this short and stop repeating and rambling because since it's cold and gloomy, I know the heat is gonna kick on soon. So I will talk to you later. Bye. Hello. It is February 13th. I look the exact same as I did yesterday, but I promise you, it is a new day. I just finished listening to Servants of the Damned, Giant Law Firms, Donald Trump, and the Corruption of Justice by David Enrich. 3 stars. I mean, I really don't have anything to say about this, to be quite honest. It was fine. Like, the reason I decided to listen to and read this, like, this isn't something... Okay, Gus. This isn't something I would, like, gravitate towards. Like, I read a lot of nonfiction, but, like, this is about a particular law firm that I know nothing about. I was not following in depth the Trump campaigns, legal filings, or anything like that. So, like... Yes, I read nonfiction. I read political nonfiction. I've started to consume a little more legal nonfiction, but this is not something I would naturally gravitate towards. However, the Supreme Court podcast I listened to, 5 to 4, did a live episode at Harvard, and they talked with the author at that live show, and it sounded intriguing. So I went ahead and borrowed the book from the library and listened to it. However, I found the hour-long podcast episode to be a little more interesting and engaging than this actual book. It is just about, like, the history of Jones Day, which is a giant international law firm, and their history, how they got tied up with Donald Trump, all the shitty corporations that they have defended and the people they have fucked over. It's very much what you expect in a evil lawyer law firm narrative. They fucking suck. And like that's the long and short of it. I don't feel like I came away with this really learning anything new that I haven't gleaned from 5 to 4, to be quite honest, or like a lab. So like it's fine, and it's very like, is milquetoast the word I'm looking for? I don't know, like very middle of the road. There was a section where they talked about, or the author talked about, shoot, I'm gonna lose this thread. They talked about the Postal Service in 2020 with regards to mail-in ballots and why Pennsylvania was trying to add a buffer of 3 days for like vote counting, so they could receive the ballots up to 3 days after election day, and was explaining, it was like, well, because of the pandemic, mail had slowed down, and you know, just general mismanagement of the post office, which is why the mail was slow. And I was like, it did not mention at all that Trump's postmaster general was like actively trying to slow down the mail, like politically was trying to slow down the mail at the time of people sending in their mail-in ballots. So like, I don't know, it just didn't feel like, when I read this stuff, I'm like looking for an argument, I'm looking for some fire, something, and I just like, yeah, these lawyers suck, this law firm sucks, but like it didn't do a whole lot more than that. So yeah, 3 stars. I don't know, that might be the last book of the week. And I think they were all 3 stars. Anyways, I will talk to y'all later. Bye. Howdy and happy Valentine's Day. Let's hope I can get this clip for my vlog finished before the heat kicks on. So it is the 14th of February. It is time to end the vlog. So my stats. I read 3 books this week, which is like half of what I read last week. It was a 1-star book, The Anarchist Handbook by Michael Malice. A 4-star book, which was a 3.5 rounded up, which was American Sonnets for My Past and Future Assassin by Terrence Hayes. And a 3-star, The Servants of the Damned by, what was his name? David Enrich. So those were the 3 books I read this week. I am carrying over a few books. I forgot to do this at the end of the last vlog, but I will remember to do it now. My carryovers are, I'm reading Out in the Valley. It is a series of queer narratives for people who live in the general area that I live in. And it was published by the LGBT Center in the area. So I've been reading this because it was available at the library. I grabbed it real quick. Another book I am carrying over is White Oleander. I did finally start my buddy read. I'm 114 pages in. I am really liking this, surprisingly. I don't know, I'm just vibing with it. As soon as I started it, I liked the writing. I'm intrigued to see where it's going. Some shit has already happened. I really don't know what to expect from this at all. Like, there's still 330 pages or something left in this, so I feel like it has a lot of places to go, but I'm enjoying it and having a good time. And then there are 2 other books that I am digitally consuming. One is Comfort Me with Apples. This has been on my TBR for about a year. Kayla read it at some point and really liked it. She like devoured it. None of my libraries had it for a very long time, and then I just randomly checked in the last week whether it was available anywhere, and it was, and I just randomly started reading it. But honestly, I'm reading it very slowly. It's only 100 pages, but I'm reading like 5 pages at a time before I fall asleep. I'm enjoying it. It's just I have other things that I am reading. These two are kind of taking priority because one, this is massive, and one, this is the library book. So those are kind of taking priority of my like eyeball reading. So there's that. And then I literally just started an audiobook today called Moonwalking with Einstein. I can't remember the author right now. Josh Four, I think. And this is a book about memory. It was mentioned in, I think, the Bananas podcast I listened to. I've been catching up on their backlog, and I'm pretty sure it was mentioned in a podcast episode months ago at this point. But it's about like the memory championship and how people with really good memories get those good memories, or like they build their memory palaces and things. So those are the things I am working on right now. You know, I'm enjoying the things I am reading. So even though this week overall, like the things I actually finished were just kind of middle of the road, didn't blow me out of the water, I am reading stuff at the moment that I'm also enjoying. Like I was reading both these things alongside those. Next week, I'm gonna really try and prioritize the library books that I have. I just got a notice from the library that I had a bunch of books renewed today, so I really want to prioritize getting these read. Especially, I don't know, I just keep going to the library and getting so many books and then getting distracted by other things or trying to read stuff off my TBR, even though I have these physical books at my house that I'm like keeping other people from reading. So I really want to prioritize reading these. So You Just Need to Lose Weight by Aubrey Gordon. Among other things, I've taken up Smoking by, I truly do not know how to pronounce that first name. I think I'm gonna try this once I finish Out of the Valley. I think this will be the next physical book I pick up, because I am so unsure if I'm gonna like this or not, so I want to give this one the first shot because then I can return it quickly if it's not gonna be a win, and not hold on to it until a second renewal. And then Cantorus. I picked this up I wanted to read it in January and that did not happen. So yes, these were the ones that were renewed. And I picked up another book on a second different library trip. So this one hasn't been renewed yet, but I should prioritize reading it. It's called The New Wilderness by Diane Cook. This is kind of a environmental dystopia sort of thing. Bee's 5-year-old daughter Agnes is slowly wasting away, consumed by the smog and pollution of the overdeveloped metropolis, that most of the population now calls home. If they stay in the city, Agnes will die. There is one alternative, the wilderness state, the last swath of untouched protected land where people have been forbidden until now. And there's more, but I'm not going to read it. So that just intrigued me. I do like dystopia thing. I haven't read a lot of environmental, like disaster, dystopia stuff, but it sounded intriguing. I think the cover is beautiful. I thought I would give it a go. So yeah, that's what my reading week will kind of look like next week. I doubt I'm going to read all of these next week, but I am really hoping to prioritize these on top of finishing these guys and the other 2 books that I am reading. So I have really stumbled over my words and rambled a lot in this closeout. If you have any thoughts, leave them in the comments. Otherwise, I will talk to y'all next week. Bye!